internships during the course of my undergrad, mostly in the sector of, say, embedded computer science related to computer security. And one of the internship in one of the leading analog VLSIs, analog semiconductor suppliers, in the EDA tool team. So I got an offer from them, and I have been working with them for the last 2 years.
So it's like
So
from your college placement.
yes, so I got my internship from my college, and then I performed
Okay.
there, and they
Got it.
accepted me as a full time.
Got
So
it.
I have been working with them as for 2 years. I have been working with the EDA tools team. I have released couple of products, mostly in the power management and clocking sector.
Mhm.
Uh, and it has been a wonderful experience, but now I thought, like, I have been thinking of doing a master's. The reason for doing the master's has been, initially it was, I had been doing I had published couple of papers in the past, and I really like the research aspect of it.
Mhm.
But so I actually shortlisted. I had two major fields in mind, which I feel would be pretty prominent in like 10 to 20 years, but have application today. So one is neuromorphic computing, and the other is power electronics. So neuromorphic computing, because we don't have per se a hardware setup. We still use von Neumann architecture for AI simulations, and the second is power electronics due to the uh, like proliferation of EVs, right? And so these two fields, I thought. So I applied for a couple of PhDs in these two fields and masters oriented in these fields. But as I have been talking to people, they say that in the field of neuromorphic computing, right, there is a very limited opportunity. So you have couple of projects running in Intel and IBM, which are very difficult to crack. So you shouldn't go in that sector. So I shifted my goals in the sense of going into rather do a master's, and some of the opportunities like PLM roles are product line manager roles are only available in the US or headquarters. So I thought I'll slowly migrate to that role once I do a master's abroad.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much it. So what I plan to do is do a master's and then slowly grow in whichever. So I want to stay in the semiconductor industry, grow in that industry, and then probably do like a executive MBA and then switch to a PLM role after, say, 10 years or so. Uh, this is one so I have actually gotten couple of admits.
Mhm.
So I have shortlisted two. So they are pretty good ranking. They both are, say, under 25 rank in E. One is actually half the cost of the first one, but the other one, which is actually costly, is much more reputed. And what I feel is, if you have a good slightly like have a slight edge on the reputation, you probably get the foot in the door in a bigger companies. That's what I feel, and it would be helpful, I think, if I just invest that much money today, right? Probably it may give me results at 10 years after. So I'm okay with doing that plunge, and I have a strategy how to do that. But I'm thinking, is it a good decision to do, or okay, let's go with the slightly, it is also reputed but slightly cheaper one, and just go from there, because you have a lesser loan and lesser financial burden, and you can just get going. So
Right.
these are my questions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I understand. So let me start with a few things here. Now, first of all, I just want to understand a couple of things. One is, you said you want to do a PhD, and then you
Yeah.
decided not to do it because someone told you this field is not a great one, or whatever it is.
Okay. Should I explain more on that?
No, no, I'm just trying to understand is, see, there are two
Okay.
questions that I want to answer here. One is what you should do, or what one should do. Second, I'm gonna ask a generic question on cost and all that, right? Because the
Okay.
bigger question here is, whether it's the right advice for you to do something because somebody has said something to you, and based on that you made decision, because people do that. I have done that because I had limited information. So
Okay.
And at that time I had no one to talk to about who can give me very genuine advice, right? So
Okay.
that's more important than whether I should go to this school or that school. Cost is
Okay.
important also. I always say that I don't like paying for a school. I never paid for my schools. I don't buy that we should be paying for our education, but it doesn't mean that people, if you are getting some opportunity which is you think is really good, and if you are willing to pay, then why not? So that's a separate question, but I think the first question is, to me, is more important, like what whether you should have gone for a PhD program or a master's program. And because it looks to me that you are making that choice based on someone has said something to you, not like you are not interested. That's my point.
Okay, so I'll just walk you through. So I talked to a couple of people in these universities who were doing actual PhD, right?
Mhm.
I asked them what are they going to be doing in say next 5 years. They were nearly completing their PhDs, right?
Mhm.
So they said they aren't doing what they did research in because there are only two groups, Intel Lohi and IBM True North chip. These in neuromorphic computing have actual opportunities and you have a very less chance of cracking into them. So
Mhm.
I thought that's on the neuromorphic front, but for a power electronics front I still have one decision pending on that power electronics front, so I'm waiting on that. So that is a good opportunities because EV sector is booming, right? And I am currently in an analog space, so that is a good sector. But neuromorphic, no, you shouldn't do that. What they say for the next, it may turn up to be good or may not turn up. So my thesis was bachelor's thesis was in the neuromorphic space. So I wanted to just I like that field, so I wanted to continue. But see, opportunities I
Yeah,
feel is important. Yeah.
yeah. So Shikhar, let me tell you a bigger picture here, okay? And
Okay.
again, I will go with my example. I will go with what I have seen in last 10 years. Just like you, I was an undergrad and came to US, did my master's, PhD, and so forth. I moved on with my career, right? So I will give you a very honest answer to that. Very seldom that happens that you are doing something and you will be doing that for next 10 years of your life. It very rarely it happens in today's day.
Okay.
World is very dynamic. I will give you an example. Like, for example, I did my undergrad from IT in mining engineering. That was my
Okay.
undergrad. So I was supposed to work in a mining industry, right? But now today I work for a space company. My point here is, if you like something, it will happen. You have to believe in yourself. That's the patience. That's you have to understand. Nobody can teach you. Nobody can tell you. But my
Okay.
point is, where if you think, hey, even when I finished my PhD, which was in mechanical engineering, and I did my master's in civil engineering, did anybody said to you, today one day I will be work for a space company? No, it happened. It gradually happened. But at the time I was focused in what I was enjoying, not based on opportunity, because opportunity will strike in your door. and, and
Okay.
and and let me tell you one thing. No matter what area it is, if you are great in it, no matter what area, okay, no matter whatever people say, if you are amazing in that area, if you're doing excellent job in that area, that's where you want to be, because then you will be one of those person who will excel in that area, not with the herd, where you have, like, for example, today I find a lot of people are jumping into data analytics and all, like every second person. My point here is, like, that's not where you're going to excel, because just imagine the competition and number of people that are in that area. And if you are doing it not because you want to do it, but because everybody's doing it, and you feel there is no opportunity and whatever, it's not going to happen. And the second part of it, when people say, hey, IBM and all that, it's not opportunities and all, you know again, I will go by example. Working for Lockheed for an international student is not possible. They don't hire internationals at all.
Yes.
It gradually happened. It took time. You will never hear that ever, that Lockheed being hiring an international student and so forth. Just give me a second. Sorry, my daughter was here. Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to tell you is, uh, I think I'm very strong believer of one thing is you should be doing something which you enjoy. That's one thing that you have to keep in your mind, because you cannot keep you won't be doing something wholeheartedly if you are doing it for any other reason other than if you're not enjoying it. That counts money also, because and more or less in every job, a garbage collector in New York makes 100,000 or more than that. So
Okay.
just to let you know, it's not about money all the time too. So my point here is, you have to understand that you want to do something because you're enjoying it. Okay, that's number one. Whether to do a PhD or not, that's totally up to you. That's personal choice. But I will also say that one thing, the only reason one should do PhD because if you are interested, because PhD doesn't guarantee you a job. It doesn't guarantee you more money. It doesn't guarantee anything, actually, to be honest with you. Probably a bachelor's could make more money. But at the same time, PhD gives you a lot of other externalities which you don't find with bachelor's. So that's the one part of it, whether you should go and pursue that topic because you really like it, because I feel that this is something that you should know. That's one thing. Second thing comes about whether you should go for masters to that university, and regarding cost and everything. And I looked at both universities. If I was you, what would I do? I would join the one which has lesser, which is of a lower tuition. Because if I look at both universities, here's the thing. One of the biggest thing you have to understand: all these big universities are are basically industries, right? So they are selling their brands. They are saying, hey, come to us because we are Ivy League or whatever it is, and we will pay you, but you have to pay like 2 times of the money. I can tell you, the other university which you have in the list, it's as good as university, and I know a lot of students who work from that universities to every big companies you can imagine. So it's not like that university is a really like, it's not like a community college or something. It's a reputed university. So if I was you, I would probably go to the other one. If my thinking is I want to go and find a job. Another reason I told you is why is because the state you're talking about, where this university is, Texas, is one of the booming states. I mean, every freaking second company is going there these days. Especially Austin is becoming hugely popular. Every company from California is moving to Texas. So I'm so one of the things you have to see, like, for example, if somebody's studying in San Jose University, which is nobody knows, but every second person finds a job there, to every IT company, because it's right in their next door.
Yes.
So many times that also works. It's not like you have to go to Harvard to become amazing. And again, I'm not talking about you have a university which lies on top 10 and other is like below 100. No, both of them are very comparable. And you will find people, to be honest with you, in both universities, if I talk about India, you will find students from IITs in both universities, as well as you will find students from schools which you have never heard of, actually, to be honest. It's not like in the number one university or Ivy League, they only take people from IITs or top institution. Now you will find probably someone from Maharashtra, where you have never heard of school, because the person is willing to pay that much money. So one has to be very careful about what are you willing to pay that much money to that school, because it's just the name, because the name is there for maybe 2-3 years and this dies down. Nobody gives me a job because I graduated from IT, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So but is it worth paying? Because ultimately at the end of the day, as old saying goes, if you're good, you will be fine. So um, I'm not a very, especially with COVID, one thing people have understood, like you really don't want to have students loan, because if some unfortunate thing happens, you can be in trouble. I personally am not a big fan of student loans, and I have talked to a lot of students who were in this situation. I talked to a student actually who was from IIT Guwahati or somewhere, and he was graduating from Cornell with 90 lakhs loan and was not able to find a job and was moving back to India. So I'm just telling you, these are the stories which happened. So I'm again, if the ranking of the university is very different, I would have not advised you. But in this case, I think it's fine.
Okay, so
As far as you like the work, that's important.
Yep. As for the third and fourth question, what do you think? Like, should I stay put in this, because this is not a conventional IT space, right? This is a semiconductor industry, and my probable after 5 to 10 years, my goal is to migrate to a product line manager. Like, a product line manager is responsible for
Yeah,
business.
but it's too early. Shikhar,
Okay.
it's very early. Trust me. You going to number one university or number two university, you going to Minnesota, you going to Cornell, you going to Michigan, you going to somewhere else doesn't decide that.
Okay.
It does not. It will be based on when you let's say, for example, you find a job in Samsung. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you want to do there. Okay. So how you move around that industry. So for example, I will go by an example where I work right now. I can be a subject matter expert. I can be a manager. It's up to me.
Okay.
It's totally it's my choice whether I want to be in the technical field, whether I want to be in the product line, whether I want to be a manager, what I want to be. It's up to me. And everything has a different path. And yeah, that's for sure. Like, for example, if you are able to do your MBA, that's going to help you for sure. And if you want to do your MBA, and if you think that this is where you want to choose, because many people, they work in industry for 2-3 years and then they join some MBA program and they move on. So a lot of things depends on that.
Okay. So yep, I understand.
And as far as chances of landing in a good job, I'm just answering your question. As I said, both universities are really good universities, and I won't see a reason why from number one university, which has higher tuition, versus number two, which has half of a tuition, you will have less chances, because both universities are well known and are really good universities. And one thing you have to understand, in US, unlike India, like India has this thing where you have, from IITs, you get better choice chances, right? In US, it doesn't. It's very flat. It's not much of a big. It's not a big difference unless until you are from really low-ranking schools. Everybody applies online. Everybody there is no, first of all, there is no campus here. Everybody has to apply jobs online, right? And you will find, as I said, just go online, you go on LinkedIn and look at Texas, any university from Texas, or any university from Minneapolis, Minnesota, whatever, and look at where these people are, where these students are, and you will find them. They are from Google to Apple to Lockheed to Boeing's to everywhere, Texas Instruments. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I see the gap. Yeah, I wasn't sure because I come from a different.
No, it's not you. It's like I know this because I have gone through this cycle, and now I think myself what I should tell to that Amit who was graduating and was looking at where should I go, right? But as I said, a lot of people are driven by their interest. It is, I want to join this university because when I did my master's from Arizona, I went there because I want to work with this professor because I loved his research. That was only my reason. And even that, after I got an admit at Florida and they were paying me twice the scholarship, I didn't go there. Because I was enjoying it, even though this guy was paying me half of the RA. So, my point here is what driving you is more important. And about what you want to do in your life, whether you want to, whether you will be product line manager, whether you will do this or that, that will be decided later on. And let me tell you, what is very dynamic today. Nobody does the same thing for next 2 years, 3 years. I have not done anything same, if you ask me. Even with my academics, I did, as I said, my academics is very different. What I do now, even my jobs were very different. Before that, I used to work for engineering software company. Before that, I used to work for fuel cell company Rolls Royce. Before that, I used to work for government lab. So I kept changing things. So it depends on what I want to do and what I'm enjoying, what opportunities I felt is good for me.
See, okay, so the higher cost one has actually the research that is the one which has the research in neuromorphic computing. The slightly lesser the half the cost one doesn't have actually the research I want, but it will land me a job in the sector I probably will be okay with. So if I want research, right, and there are very limited RA and TA opportunities, they are mainly distributed to your
Yeah.
PhDs. So
Yeah, Shikhar. So one thing I want to tell you here, whenever you talk about research, masters students do very, very, very less research. Okay.
okay.
So when you talk about research, I think of a PhD, not a master's at all. Because masters, to be honest with you, masters is much simpler than doing a bachelor's. Masters is freaking easy, dude. Masters
Okay.
is doing masters is a piece of cake. You won't even know. You like it goes by blink of an eye.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you don't think like masters you're going to do some amazing research. No, masters is, let me give you an answer. Masters is somebody's already do the work and you say I did the same, they will give you the masters. PhD is what
Yes.
new you did, and that's what the difference is. You can repeat the experiment and you will get your master's degree, but in PhD you have to bring something new, right? So masters is I know a lot of students, a lot of my friends actually who done the masters, and they're in a good job, I'm not saying, but what you do in your masters is you just finish, you probably work with a PhD student and help him with his thesis and get your masters, you know and and
Okay.
and and if you're really interested in research, if you really say research, when you use this word, I really think of a PhD, not a master's, because in US getting a master's degree is, I would say, like not even 10% getting a bachelor's in India. It's very simple. You get like 4.0, like anything. Everybody gives you, even if you study like last day or something. As far as you're doing good in your homeworks and everything, you get 4.0. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I have, so in the reputed one, right? I have asked for the average median GPA, right? People from very good unis in India are getting around say 3.4 or 3.5. There's some kind of grade deflation over there. What I've heard on the reviews I have
What grade?
is so I have talked to people who have graduated from this university, the reputed one. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so they say that they weren't able to even cross 3.6, and lot of the class wasn't able to. They weren't able to score 4.0. So only say 5 to 10% of the class. But on the cheaper one, slightly cheaper one, you have everyone scoring, as you said, 4.0s. There's some
Yeah,
kind of a
but what I'm
mismatch.
trying to tell you here is, unlike in India, nobody gets 4.0. At least when I was graduating, the professors, the idea of professors is to give you lesser marks than giving you a 9.0 GPA or 8.0. Very few people
Okay.
had. But what I'm saying, even if you get in 3.6, 3.7, that's like getting 8.5 or 9.0. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
So
get
that's
that.
what my point here is. And you will find like in your class, you 4 or 5 people have 4.0. I mean, in ours, IIT, probably last 10 years nobody get 10.0. So it was that's what I was talking about. So
Got it.
as far as you maintain your grade above 3.5, you are fine. Universities usually don't have much requirement. What happens with the masters, usually when you are applying for a job, if you have a grade 3.5 and above, if you have some good internships, and some work experience like you have, you will find a job, unless and until there is something wrong with the economy, or with politics or COVID or whatever. These days a lot of things happening. You're fine.
So I just have we have a couple of minutes. So what would you advise? Should I go for another PhD draw in the field I like, apply to all PhDs in another round
Yeah,
in these two fields which I like, or just go with a master's and then
but
look for a
but what
PhD
you
after
want,
that?
why you want to do PhD, and what you want to do after PhD? That's my question.
So okay, so I really like these two sectors because I have actually worked on it. I had worked for 1 year on my thesis in neuromorphic computing. And up here in the company I work with, I have worked on power electronics a lot. So and actually I have worked with the new devices that have come in the power electronics space, and I have been reading research of pretty eminent professors and talking to people in Germany who are doing research active. They're making new devices which don't exist. So these two fields I really like, but I applied to a very limited. I didn't apply for neuromorphic computing, any PhD, but for power electronics, yes. And my major shift was in the master space because I wasn't sure if I'll get PhDs, but should I go for another draw and say go for 7, 8 top universities in these two fields, and and that will increase my chances. Wait for 1 year and then apply for a. If you
And what do you want to do after PhD?
Okay, I want to remain in the semiconductor space, and I have seen people doing like going after in the industry. My answer would be in the industry, probably in a research lab. You have like Intel labs or IBM research or something like that. If Because I wasn't sure if I go into these field, uh, I'll get a job in the field of neuromorphic computing. I wasn't sure, so I didn't apply. So you get my point, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. A lot of few things happens, and let me tell you what. So one thing, as I said to you, what do you want to do after a PhD? Your answer is pretty much like you want to go back to industry. It's not like you're looking for a job as a professor or something, right? And the second thing looks like you want to settle in US. You don't want to go back to India too, right? If I'm not wrong.
So you have currently Intel Labs and IBM Research and units in India too. So
You
if
know,
there
but
is,
my question to you: you want to go back to India, or you want to stay in US?
I'm not
Or you
clear
are
right
one of
now.
those people who say, I don't know.
I don't know. So
Okay.
I actually
No, that's
have
fine.
Yeah.
Because the
Okay.
reason I'm telling you is there's one thing that nobody probably tells you. And if you watch my video, I say this all the time. Um, you know, one of the advantage that a PhD student gets in when you do a PhD in US is because if you want to stay in US, you want a green card and you want to immigrate here, you want to be a citizen so that you get opportunities. Because if you're in visa, it's very difficult to think about of a longer term stay, because you will understand that as a PhD student you get first in line to do that. As a master's student, it's not possible to get a green card in US. If you're from India, it's not possible
Okay.
because that line is very long. You get, I think today, if you're going to apply today, you will get after 70 years. That's what the line is. But as a PhD, you get very quick in line. Probably you get, if you have good grades, if you're good GPA and your papers are good and whatever, you get within 4 or 5 years, you will get your, or 2 3 years, you will get your green card. And your life becomes much easier, because that is the only way you can work in some of these good companies. With a visa, they won't allow you to work. And that's how I was able to get work.
Yes.
That is the only reason I was able to join Lockheed, because once I became a citizen, because they don't hire if you're not a citizen. They don't. So no matter how good I am, it doesn't matter. So this is another barrier that you have to understand. And the only way it's possible is if you get a PhD. Okay. So as he said, nobody talks about this particular aspect. So you have to understand that. So what I'm saying is, if your career, if your interest aligns to in the same direction, I would say go for a PhD, and then you will be able to work there. Because if you are masters and you're saying, oh, I wish I can work, that will always be your wish. You will now never be able to work.
Okay.
Because most of these companies work in government-run programs. They don't allow you a non-US citizen to work.
Okay. So my question, so should I apply next year for more PhDs? And do you think my profile is good enough to land a PhD in say top 50 or something, top 50 US news ranking?
I think looking at your what you have here.
Yeah.
Looking at what you have here, your CV and everything, and admit you have received, I don't think you should have a problem. But one thing I will tell you, another thing is, let's say if you join a program right now to number 2 university, let's say, and if you commit yourself for a PhD program, you will be transferred to PhD. I think that is much quicker, actually, if you ask me. So what I'm saying, there you will have a choice. Once you go there, you can do your masters and move out, or you can go to a professor, talk and convince him, because you are there physically, right? The chances are way higher that for them to pursue someone which they don't know versus someone who has already taken their course and they know them. And let's say if you find a professor, if I want to do a PhD, and if I was you, I will go and look at what professor is good and what's their interested, what my interest is, and I will just start talking to that professor and say, hey, I'm interested in doing PhD. And trust me, that's going to work like 99.9% way better. And who knows, you will get admitted to a PhD program, and you eventually don't have to pay any tuition because you will enroll into his program, his or her program, and the person will be starting paying you.
So number 2 is the best choice, best fit.
In my opinion, I mean, because as I said to you, the tuition fees is less. It's a good program, good state, cheaper state, and as I said, it's in that case, if you are deciding that I will join a PhD, I will also explore number one, because then if I am only paying for a semester, and then I can transfer to a PhD program. You know what I mean? But I should be very sure that I will join a PhD program, not like I will go and there see. But if you are the case, like I will go there and see, then I will probably go to number 2.
Okay, nice. I got it. Yep.
Yeah, but there is no point in waiting for another year and applying again, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's it. Number 1 actually doesn't. You have to reapply if you want to go into PhD. So that's automatically cut. So you can't. The professor can't say I have to shift you into. I can take you as a PhD.
Right. So that's another thing. Yes. So for example, if you are in that university, all they need to do is transfer you to a PhD, rather than, because if let's say you are in University A and then you're going to apply to University B, it's the same thing. It will be the same situation for somebody from any other part of the country, because you have to then send your GRE, TOEFL. You will be in line, but in this case you will not be, because you are already admitted. All they need to do is transfer you.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
Got it. Yep. So yeah, pretty much. Actually, I fall in a lot of uncertainty. MBA, PhD, because I have research experience, and I thought I won't be getting into those.
Yeah. But I'm doing my MBA also from Ohio State, and I have done my PhD too. I can tell you one thing for sure. If I don't know how to say it, but MBA is a totally different thing. Right. So you have to understand whether you enjoyed that part of your life or you enjoyed the research more, because if you enjoy research more, you may not go to the MBA stream, or you may not enjoy that.
Okay.
I mean, as I said, I'm doing my MBA, and if you ask me, do I enjoy it? I mean, I'm doing it because my company is paying, to be honest. I'm not paying from my pocket. So don't get me wrong. And I'm doing it because, that's my Saturday, Sunday, how I spend it. Right.
Okay.
But if you ask me, should I pay from my pocket? There is no way I'm going to pay. Do I enjoy it more than what I do now? What my background is? No, I don't enjoy that as much. Yeah, but it's like, for me, it's the information, right? Read a newspaper or something. I get to know new things.
Okay, I see. It's more of an inquisitive.
Inquisitive, because it's like it tells me how to manage my money. It tells me before that I never used to understand what is the statement of account, right? But now I understand much better. And if I want to move up in my career too, I need to know these things. Like, for example, if you look at the CEO from IBM, right? He's an Indian guy, right?
Yes.
And if you look at his profile, I think he's a PhD from Urbana-Champaign. He doesn't have an MBA, but I'm pretty sure he should know all the details. He should know how to manage money, because there is no way he's using his PhD. He's using probably his more finance brain, right? So he should know. So whether you learn from your job or you learn this way.
Okay. So you in engineering, nothing. Ivy League doesn't open any doors. If I put it very directly, does it open any doors? Why do people go up there and pay?
It's a big charm, right? The brand. Why people go to IIT? Do every IIT offers you the same thing? And also people from India have this thing, because we come from that background, right? If you don't go to IITs, you are done. That sort of a mindset. But in US, I would say, if you're in if you're not in Harvard, MIT, Stanford, or if you are in Rice University or Texas Austin or Texas A&M, or you are in some other university, I mean, things are the same. I don't see a difference, to be honest with you. People pay for their brand to, you get bragging rights to pay 3 times. It's up to you if you want to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I
If you
see.
want to pay for the bragging rights, oh, I am from MIT, so what? Like
Yeah.
like for example, I am not graduated from MIT or Harvard or some school. I graduated from a school which probably very few people know. But I went there because I liked the person who was doing that research. He was pretty well known. That's the only reason I went there. And now people who are working under me are from Berkeley, from Stanford, everyone. So that does it matter? I don't think so.
Okay, that's pretty much a cultural shift. I can put it like that. So
Oh yeah,
yep.
yeah, definitely. I mean, coming from India, that's very normal. But if you look at people from here, people don't choose Harvard, MIT, because that's the brand. People choose it university based on where they're gonna enjoy it, where they like it, the work. That's more important. It's not like if my life is going to be horrible if I go to MIT versus lesser one, I will probably choose the lesser one.
Yes.
And again, again, I'm also telling you this thing because the choices you have are not very, I don't distinguish them as like black and white, right? If that's not the case. In your case, the gap is very small. So whether I should be advise someone to willing to pay 2 or 3 times, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I've got I follow your channel regularly. I've seen most of your videos, so yeah, it's very informative. Yep.
Good. I hope I try to give honest advice because this is one thing that I lack. I thought that the students are lacking, and I was lacking too. I was looking for a lot of information when I was in at your stage, so hopefully that will help you.
Yes, it surely does. Yeah. So all my friends I talked to, like University 1, University 2, they said, why are you going to University 2, right? In India, like
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
talked
mean,
to.
as you said, this is normal. But I'm telling you the experience. I'm telling you the thing, and trust me, if 10 years down the road, you will realize why I was saying that.
Yes.
Not now, but again, it's totally your choice. There's sometimes for some people it's difficult. I mean, one of my good friend, I can tell you one thing. One of my good friend got us admit at the Stanford, an undergrad, and also from other university, which is not that of a great university. But what happened? Nothing. He ended doing his PhD from Carnegie Mellon. He ended up working at Caltech. So what? Because he was really good. That's my point.
Yes. I see. Yep. It's thank you for
Sure.
guiding me. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that helps. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And if you decide to come here, shoot me an email.